Good evening, everybody. Here we are for UFC 329. The return of Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway. Sorry about that. Next up over on my mess here. So today, obviously, we're finally upon us with UFC 329. I wanted to get it out tonight because I was kind of stupid and scheduled like one of my biggest side jobs of the year over the weekend. So I'm going to have a hard time even getting home in time to watch it, but I'm going to try to make sure that I do. Um, anyways, let's dive right into this. And the first fight I'm going to pull up, I got my order all screwed up, but it's going to be Durden versus Costa. And let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, right there we go. This fight here, I think Cody Durden's best opportunity to make this a fight and to be in this fight is he's going to have to get his grappling going. I'm not I think he might have a little success with it, but I think as the fight goes on, Costa is just going to be the better minute winner, the better striker. And I look for Costa to either get a late knockout or win by decision. So I'm going to go with Costa. I do have him in one parlay, but my confidence level isn't as high as it was beginning of the week, so I'm not going to give that parlay out. But I do have Costa winning this fight. Then next we got Gondra versus Reese. This is another closely matched fight. This line got as high as, I think at one time Gondra got as high as minus 180, minus 190. I think he might have opened as a decent size underdog too, like plus 130, plus 150 range. Now it's settled into right around minus 140 one way and plus 120 ish the other way. So I think this is as close to a 50-50 fight as we can get, which we actually have a good fair share of those on this card that are 50-50 fights that could go either way. And with this fight here, I think either side is live for a knockout and live early. Reese might actually end up being the slicker, better striker, but Gondra's going to be the fighter that I'm going to trust as the fight gets deeper. And he also has the power advantage. So I'm going to go with Gondra to end up finding a knockout at some point. So my play is going to be Gondra by KO. And then next we've got Basharat versus Garza. Garza's a replacement fighter because Ethan Ewing, I'm assuming Ewing had an injury. I didn't look into it to see why he ended up canceling, but Basharat versus Ewing got canceled, and Garza is stepping in on like 4 to 5 days notice or whatever it ends up being, maybe 6 at the most. And he's making his UFC debut. I think it's a tough spot for him. I think he could be a decent prospect. I don't know a lot about him, but Basharat's a solid prospect with a few fights underneath his belt already in the UFC. And I look for Basharat to just be better everywhere. I like him inside the distance. I think at some point he's more than likely going to get a submission. The submission prop would be the one I would go for if anything. I am playing him by double method, which is submission / / decision as a parlay piece, but he's a minus 600 on the money line, so you can't really wager on that. So let's see. I just screwed this all up. So we got Basharat. Okay. Next, we're going to cover Pinas versus Almeida. So with Pinas versus Almeida, this is another one where I think we're going to get a finish. I think I don't even know how to pronounce it. I really hope it's not penis. I really hope it's Pinas or Penes or something like that, which I think it is. Anyways, I like him to be the better fighter everywhere. I mean, Almeida's decent kickboxer, but Pinas is just going to be the better overall striker, and I look for him to grapple at some point too. He's going to be way better on the mat also, and I'd like him to get a knockout at some point in this fight. If you can find a KO prop or an inside the distance prop that's close to even money, I won't hate that at all. So then next we're actually gonna hop to the Tracy Cortez versus Kong Wang fight. This one here, when it first opened up, I loved Cortez when it first opened up at plus 120 range. She's now down to minus 110. I got her in a little parlay at a plus 115, and all the other pieces of the parlay have already come through. So I gave her out at like plus 115, plus 120. The way that I would play this now would be here. Let me see if I can find it. Actually, I'm all messed up because I was supposed to have someone do a video with me tonight, and they haven't gotten back to me yet. So, and we were only going to cover like the top 5 or 6 fights that I really liked. So my arrangement on my StreamYard is all wacky. So this is what I got. I've got plus 115. Now it's minus 110. So what I would do is I would play the over 1.5 rounds and Cortez on the money line. That would be a plus 110. That's how I would play it now to get plus money. I think she's going to have to grapple too. You could also throw in 1 or 2 takedowns with that parlay if you want, and see what it gives you. I know over 1.5 takedowns is the minus 150. I wish that was closer to even money. If you could find over 1.5 takedowns in the minus 120 range, I would definitely play it. But any higher than that, I'm gonna stay off of it. So that's my play for this, and I do like the over. I don't think Kong Wang gets a finish, and Cortez really doesn't get a lot of finishes at all either. So I like that to go all 3 rounds. And then the next fight we're gonna pull up is going to be Riley versus Kamaka. Now this one here, I think Riley's just going to be better everywhere. I think it's now. I will say this: I think the line is too wide though, but he's just going to be the better striker. I mean, Kamaka's not bad on his feet, but I think Riley is just going to be the better overall striker. He could find a later KO at some point, but this is just me giving out a pick. It's not any plays or anything like that. It's just, but I do lean Riley, but I don't like the line at all. I think it should be in the minus 150 range. Not, I think it's minus 200 or 250 or something like that. And I don't really care for it there, but I do like him to get the win. Next, we got Cody Garbrandt versus Yanez, and I think Garbrandt's just here to get a paycheck, to be honest. He's not really showing much of anything anymore. Now, I will say this. If he decides to come forward and try and grapple, he could give Yanez a little problems, but Yanez should keep this on the feet, and he should piece him up for 3 rounds or get a knockout. So I'm going to be using Yanez as a parlay piece also, and I will pull that parlay up at the end. I've got him by KO / decision in a parlay on a double method to bring his odds down a little bit, because he is like a minus 440 right now, minus 400. So he's a little steep on the price. But I do have Yanez winning this fight. Let's see. See if I can find the next one I want to cover. I'm going to jump to Gable Stevenson versus Ellison. This is kind of a interesting fight. It's Stevenson's UFC debut. USA gold medalist in wrestling. I have watched a couple of his fights. I watched his one fight when he was in LFA, because I watch LFA quite a bit. I mean, there's not really a lot of tape to watch on him. He's still pretty green, so I do not endorse or recommend going too heavy on him, because he could get fraud checked at some point. I don't think he will, at least not early on in his career. I think they're going to be very careful. I think they're going to give him Stevenson, and then they'll give him somebody else that's way down, ranked 15 to 17 range, and they will slowly build him up. I think you're going to see him get a minimum of 3 UFC fights before they give anybody even remotely close to the top 10. I mean, if he gets three UFC wins, then I think you could possibly see a Derek Lewis versus Stevenson or something like that, But I think their best bet is to bring him along slowly. But I do like him to get the win. I like him to win in the first round. And so right now, FanDuel is giving out some fairly decent offers if you're a member of FanDuel and you wager on there, at least on a regular basis. They're offering you, well, at least for me, they're offering me an option every week, which normally I believe it's on Monday morning, and it's either a live single at 50% boost, a pregame single at 30% boost, I think, or you can do a parlay that's got to be at least a plus 100, which would be a 50% boost. But the one I've been choosing is same game parlay. And you can make that a same game X, so I could take 2 pieces from one fight and then add another fight to it if I wanted to. So what I'm doing is I'm going to take Stevenson on the money line under a half a round. It's a plus 143. That's before any boost. If you have the 50% boost, it makes it a plus 215. I'm not going to put a lot on it. Maybe half a unit to 3/4 of a unit. Maybe enough to profit $20 or something like that. Because there is a chance that it gets past a half a round, but I'm going to roll the dice and take a chance that it doesn't, just for this is more of a lean slash fun wager. It's not like it's not, I wouldn't consider this a best bet or anything like that, just because, man, all it takes is 2.5 minutes and it's in the garbage can. But I like him to get an early finish. Um, if you got the option for a 60-second finish, and if they're offering it in the plus 400 range, I would I would put a sprinkle on that also. So that's what I'm playing. I think he's gonna rag down though. Um, I think he could knock him out too. So be a good fight. All right, next. Man, I'm bouncing all around here. Let me see if I can find the other fight I haven't covered yet. I'm gonna go to this fight here, and I'm not even sure if it's next on the list or not. I don't think it is. Actually, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Green and McKinney should be next. So we're gonna do Green and McKinney. So this one here this is gonna be a banger. It could be, I wouldn't say fight of the night, but anything like that. But it's gonna be a banger while it lasts. So I think there's two ways to play this fight. I think I think you either play McKinney first round, or you can play him under a half a round and on the money line, and I believe it's like a plus 240. If it gets past the 3 minute mark, I would look at the line, and if Green is a plus 125 to a plus 150 range, or higher, I would put a little bit on him. Don't don't overdo it, just in case if McKinney gets a late first round finish. But if this fight gets out of the first round, I think McKinney is toast. I mean, he's got about 3 minutes of cardio, but man, he's relentless in those 3 minutes, and he can win it anyway. Like he could knock Green out, and Green's 39 years old, and when he's fighting, he holds his hands like way down, so he doesn't even like have his hands up, in a good position to like kind of try and protect his face a little bit. And also, McKinney's not a bad grappler and has some really good submissions. So I could see McKinney winning by knockout or submission in the first round. But if it gets past the first round, I think it's Green all day. So that's two different ways. I mean, there's two different ways to play this fight. I don't really have a hard. I'm gonna pick McKinney just because he's younger, and I think he gets a first round finish. But if it gets towards the end of that first round, I wouldn't hesitate at all to put a little bit on Green. And then our next fight is going to be, okay. I just did Green and McKinney. Now we're gonna hop down to Whitaker versus Krylov. This is a pretty interesting fight also. Whitaker's moving up the light heavyweight, which I don't mind for him. I just don't know whether or not I'm comfortable taking him to get a knockout or a finish though, because he wasn't getting a lot of finishes anyways. So I just don't know. I don't think his power is going to translate that great in the light heavyweight, but I do think it's a good move for him at the age that he's at. Him getting a little bit older, and I'm sure making that cut down to 185 is getting tougher and tougher on him. And I do think he's the better striker. I think Krylov needs to make this dirty, needs to try and grapple to try and get the win here. But my lean's gonna be Whitaker. I'm gonna say Whitaker, and I'm leaning towards the over, but man, it's nothing that I'm confident in. So I'm gonna say Whitaker gets the win here. I'm not sure how, but I'm gonna lean Whitaker. But it's definitely a fight. It's a 50. It's more towards a 50-50 fight than anything else. Okay, now we got. Man, I'm all screwed up. I'm all over the place. Now we've got Royval versus Kavanaugh. This one here is probably one of my toughest picks of the week, but I think Kavanaugh's too big of a favorite. My only my only question mark with Royval would be his chin. Does his chin hold up? You know, if 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 there was any value at all on a Kavanaugh KO only prop, in other words, if it finishes by submission or decision, no matter who wins, you get your money back. I would take it, but there isn't. It's the odds are so stupid. It's not even funny. I think they're like minus 500, which is just not very smart to even take anything like that at that point. Um, but considering that Royval is almost a plus 200, I think he's the side you got to be on. If he stays safe, I think. I mean, come on. I mean, he's got some bangers out there. I mean, he beat Chisora Taira. I mean, he went to war with Joshua Van. He's granted he's had some bad losses too recently, but I just think this might be one of those fights that it could definitely be a levels check. So it's not a fight that I have a strong conviction either way. Um, but at the odds, I would have to lean towards Royval. But I'm going to stay away from this fight. I'm, I think Kavanaugh could still get the win, but at these odds, I got to lean towards Royval. Personally, I would stay away from it, but you know, if if something catches your interest, go for it. Um, I think I'm down to the last two, if I'm not mistaken. This was a hot mess, the way that I had everything all set up. So, oh wait, no, I'm not. I almost skipped Sandhagen versus Bautista, which is could be fight of the night. So we got Corey Sandhagen versus Bautista. This is their rematch from when Bautista made his UFC debut, and Sandhagen submitted him, I believe, in the first round. Um, I think I think this has the makings to be a lot different. I'm not going to say it's going to be so different that Bautista is going to win, but I think it's going to be way closer, way back and forth. Bautista has improved immensely, and Sandhagen is still good. I mean, Sandhagen's still going to be the minute winner on the feet. I think he's still going to be the better striker. On the mat, I would give a slight advantage to Bautista, but it's not that big of an advantage. I like Sandhagen's advantage on the feet more than I do Bautista's grappling advantage. Put it that way. Um, I do think Bautista stays safe. I don't think he gets submitted this time. I believe he got caught in an armbar last time, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think that happens this time around. I think this fight goes all 3 rounds, and at these odds, I'm gonna lean towards Sandhagen getting the win. I believe I saw him in a minus 135 today. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I don't hate like taking the over half a round or fight to start second round and pair it with Sandhagen money line if your book allows you to do that to get it closer to even money. I don't hate that at all. I've actually got the over 1.5 in a parlay piece that I'll be pulling up here in a little bit anyways. So that's what I like on that fight. Now I think we're all caught up. Now, I believe we just got the last two fights to go. So this fight here, uh, BSD versus Pimlet, probably is my favorite fight on the card, only because there's a lot on this fight that I like. But I didn't want to give it all out because if Patty doesn't fight good or win, then a lot of what I'm going to talk about may not come through. So I like Paddy Pimblett to get the win in this fight. Actually, I think his striking has improved. I think he has definitely proven that he's a tough son of a bitch. And that I don't think Paddy's going to get knocked out, and I don't think he's going to get submitted either. So, and I actually like Patty with his scrambles, and he's very dangerous from bottom. He is live to get a submission from bottom. I don't think it happens, but he's live to get it. So, one of my favorite plays is on the entire card is the over 1.5 rounds at a minus 156. That was on FanDuel. I played it in a parlay, and it's down to the last leg. Um, but I also played it on another book at a minus 165, but I had a 50% boost, so it brought it down to a minus 112. So I played that as a single on that book. So that's what I'm playing. Oh, and then I couldn't resist but to put a little bit on over 0.5 takedowns. DraftKings has it plus 150. I've been like keeping my eye out on the other books that I'm on, because I'm only on 3 sport books, and FanDuel hasn't put out the takedown props yet. And normally the FanDuel takedown props aren't as good as the DraftKings number anyways. So I'm assuming when it comes out on FanDuel, it's going to be closer to a plus 110, plus 125 range anyways. And I'm expecting it to close a little bit closer to even money. Maybe not quite even money, but because I could see him getting a takedown. And what I did is I put basically 0.7 units on it to profit 1 unit is how I played that. And I like fight to start the third round at minus 105. I like the over 2.5 at plus 124, plus 125. And I like fight to go the distance at plus 170 also. But I'm not playing all that. I mean, I didn't want to if by chance I am wrong and then get it all wrong. I didn't want that to happen. So, but that's what I'm playing on Paddy Pimblett versus BSD. And then we got, where the fuck is he? Oh, sorry. Got the return of Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway. The only way it's first round or bust for McGregor, I think. Unless for some crazy ass reason there's a fixed job, but I don't look at the UFC like that at all. I don't think there ever is. I think sometimes we have gentlemen's agreements once in a while, like if a couple of buddies are going at it where they decide not to knock each other out. I think we've had a couple of those. Possibly that one fight, I can't remember the guy's name that got submitted, where the line went crazy to one way, and when he was in his submission, he did everything wrong, like everything that he wouldn't have been trained to do. That one might have been fixed, but he got cut from the UFC like immediately anyways, I think. So I definitely don't see that here, but I will say this. McGregor is live in the first round, but beyond that, I don't like him at all. I think after the first round he's going to fade off. So here's what I'm playing, and just hope like hell he makes it out of the first round. I'm going to play Holloway KO rounds 2, 3, and 4 plus 210 It's now a plus 200. It's still good value at a plus 200. So that's what I'm playing. Now, another way to play this would be on DraftKings, and that would be over a half a round, and win by KO is plus 100. I mean, or you can just play his KO prop at minus 110. You know, I mean, for the extra 10 cents, you might as well just play his KO prop, and just play it at a minus 110. I think after the first round, I think Max Holloway takes over, and I think he gets I'm gonna predict third round finish, but I could definitely see it in the second round also. But that's what I'm playing is this second, third, and fourth round KO. That's what I got. Now I'm gonna pull up some of my plays, and I've talked about majority of them, but I'm gonna pull them up. Just made the screen a little bigger. I don't even know if that helps at all. But I've got Cortez money line plus 115, now minus 110. I would play it over 1.5 rounds plus money line plus 110. Paddy Pimblett versus BSD over 1.5 rounds minus 156. Paddy Pimblett over 1/2 takedown plus 150. I also lean Paddy money line plus 130. If you pair it with over a half a round, I believe it's at least a plus 145, if not a plus 150 now. So I might actually put a little bit on that. And then we got Max Holloway, KO rounds 2, 3, and 4 plus 200. Or you could do the SGP at plus 100, or just play his KO prop at minus 110. That's probably what I would recommend. Then we've got 2 different parlays, and I decided to just do them all on the same sheet. We've got Cortez versus Wang, start round 3. We've got Sandhagen versus Bautista over 1.5 rounds, and BSD versus Pimblett, start round 2 plus 108. Then I did not spell this right at all. Holy cow. My God, that's horrible. It's supposed to be Basharat by submission/decision. Yana is by KO/decision, and Holloway money line plus 131. If it got down to the Holloway money line, you could just hedge it if you wanted to. Yeah, that's what I got. Now, one other fun one I was thinking of playing, I haven't done it yet, and that is, here, let me get out of this first, though. And that was Stevenson under a half a round. Let me double check and see what the odds would be for you. Give me a second. It was going to be Stevenson under a half a round, and then the wow. Wow, that's pretty good value there. Holy shit. Or wait. Stevenson under a half a round, and then the Green and McKinney fight under a half a round also. So if you go Green and McKinney under a half a round and McKinney winning, and Stevenson under a half a round and Stevenson winning, that's a plus 796. If you wanted to throw the 50% boost on it, it literally makes it almost a plus 1200. I might throw a sprinkle on that at the plus 796 one. But that's what I got for UFC 329. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. Please give me a like, and we will talk to you later.